when I came to Europe first, I was wondering, why are these people having dogs and cats, and they are raising animals? And when I started to learn about domination and influence, I started to realize, oh, it means in this country there is a higher thirst of domination than higher thirst of influence. But they managed to overcome it because they didn't go outside the boundary. They are within the boundary. They are dominating animals because it is allowed to dominate an animal, even in the Bible. Even our Creator allows us to dominate animals, to dominate plants. So we also can use this method when we feel like dominating something. We can just go out there and dominate anything, but not a human being, not a person. And when I reflect a little bit back to life, I think colonialism came because we were lacking a knowledge, like knowledge that we are not supposed to dominate each other. We are supposed to dominate animals. Because when you dominate a thing, you are going to treat it anyhow, the way you want. That's why it reached to the point that people who were dominating the other people, they were treating them like an animal, because that was not a leadership, that was a domination and controlling. The point that they can put a chain on you, they can put a hole in your leg and put a chain there, because that is controlling and dominating. And God wanted to prevent something like that. That's why he insisted, like, you can dominate every creeping things, every plant, but not your fellow human. Because controlling is the very bad stage of acting, to the point that you will want that thing to be exactly how you want it to be. So if you want it to crow, you tell it to crow. If you want it to sleep, you tell it to sleep. But the human mind was not designed in a way to submit from other fellow humans. So it is going to cause resistance. That's why we had a first, second, and third world war, because of this domination and controlling, which get out of hand to the point that other tribes or other races were treated like animals, and this is not what God wanted. So in order to stop it, the war have to come in order for people to defend themselves. Like, we are not animals. How can you dominate us? How can you control us? We are not animals. So it led to war, but thank God it ended back then. But now it is coming back to the point that people are not doing it in a physical way. People are trying to do it intellectual. People are trying to dominate and control intellectually. And if you are not conscious, you may end up being an animal without knowing that you're an animal. So you have to learn somehow, how can you differentiate dominating and leading? How can you differentiate controlling and influencing? If you successfully get the definition of these things, it will be easy for you to avoid making the same mistake and fulfilling your thirsty without going against God's will. Today we are going to study a little bit, or we are going to learn a little bit about influence and dominating. There is quite a difference, or a very big difference, of dominating and influencing, because from the beginning of the days, God told us to dominate living things in the earth. Everything that is in the earth, we are going to dominate it. But influence may lead to a leader. everything that have influence, it may end up leading, because naturally people will be attracted to that kind of influence that they think implies in their life, and then naturally they will follow, and everybody who have followers is a leader. But dominating leads to controlling. When a person or when something is dominating, will try to control, will try to make another part do or go according to how this thing wishes. If you have a person who is dominating you, it means that this person will want you to act according to their will, want you to act according to what they want, according to which time they want you to act, which way they want you to act, how are you supposed to go about, and the result, if the result that is going to satisfy this person, this is the dominating, which ends up to controlling. But influence is you are given a choice to choose to follow according to the result you see, or according to the way you see this thing. Is it giving any impact to my life? Is it adding a value into my life? Is it changing me into a better person? Is it helping me to redefine my ways? And if it is, am I really interested to act in this way? Yes, I'm interested. No, I'm not interested. I'm not going. It means influence, a person is going willingly. But in dominating, whether you're willing or you're not willing, you have to go because you are under control. But in influence, if you are willing, you will go. If you are not willing, you won't go. So it means in influence, in order for a person to be a leader, this person needs a lot of influence in order to influence people who can be able to follow this person. Being a leader is not forcing people to come to you. Being a leader is to portray things that impress people to come to you. And God has never given us the permission to dominate over each other, but God has given us permission to lead each other. Of course, in the Bible there is a part that God spoke about domination, but this domination that God spoke about, it was domination of human over other living things. And we get this in the Bible, in the Genesis 1:26. It said, "Then God said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on earth." That is what God said when he was creating a man. The aim of God was not for a man to come and dominate another man. The aim of God was a man to come and dominate everything that lives in the earth. So in order, when you sit down and find yourself time to time, like you feel or you have this feeling of wanting to dominate, it is not a bad thing, because it's the authority that you have given by God. It is not bad at all. But you have to know the boundaries of dominating. Where does they end? The ends at the animals, the ends at the plants, and every creeping thing. So you can go, you can take a small goat and raise a goat and dominate this goat and control this goat the way you want. Or you can go adopt a dog and dominate this dog and control this dog and take it the way you want. The way you want this dog to be, the way you want this cat to be, the way you want this cow to be. anyhow, the way you want this farm to be, just go cultivate maize or whatever. Because you have a power to dominate, you can make your farm in a way you want. You can plant a tree and shape it the way you want, because you have a power to dominate. The lack of knowledge, which God has already told us that my people are dying by the lack of knowledge, is we fail to know that, or we fail to recognize that the thirst of domination we have, it is not over each other, it is over living things. So you have to go to a point that you have a power to control your domination. When it comes to other people, you have to turn your domination into a thirst of leading, not a thirst of dominating. Because the only thing that God allowed you to do over other man is to lead. And leading comes by influence. And influence is not forced. Influence is earned. You earn the influence according to the way you keep yourself, according to the way you act, according to the way you portray yourself in the society. That builds your influence. And when your influence grows, that is when you can earn the title of leading. And when I was learning about influence today, it made me somehow reflect at my life, and I saw some of the faults I've been doing again and again without realizing that I was going against the Bible and everything. I found 4 or 5 components of good influencer. If you want to be a good influencer, or if you want to influence people, the first thing you have to build relationship. You can't influence a person that you are not even related to. You have to be close to this person. And the relationship is always give and take. It is not always take. You have to be able to give at some time in order to maintain a relationship. If you are going to somebody because she is giving you something, it means you are going for something. You are not going for this person. This relationship will die because it is one-sided relationship. So in building relationship, make sure you have a group of people who they can depend on you and you can depend on them in any given time, because you have built a trust between each other. But when there is lack of trust in any kind of relationship, this relationship won't grow. And if it is not grow, it means it is not being builded. Everything that is being builded means it is going up. So if the relationship is not going up, you have to be able to reevaluate. Where am I going wrong in this relationship? Why is it not growing? Why is it dormant? Because maybe I give a lot, but I don't take. Or because I take a lot, but I don't give. That's why this relationship is not growing. But the second component of good influencer, you have to create a network of allies. When we talk about a network of allies, it's kind of related with the relationship. You don't have to act with these people. When we say allies, you don't have to manage these people every time. You have to be able to be vulnerable in these people, these allies. When you be vulnerable in these allies, it means you are creating the emotional intelligence. With emotional intelligence, it strengthens the closeness between two people. When you are able to be vulnerable in front of me, I can trust you, because it requires full trust for a person to be vulnerable in front of you. If you can't be able to cry your heart out in front of me, it means I'm not your ally and you're not my ally, because there is lack of comfortability between us. Because these people who you are creating allies with, they are people who are going to influence another people, and the more you are influencing each other, it means the group will grow, and actually in the matter of time you will have a big number of followers. But if you are not able to be vulnerable even in front of your allies, it means you are controlling yourself. And if you are controlling yourself, it means you are dominating yourself. This will not take you anywhere, because even to yourself, you have to influence yourself. You have to lead yourself, not to dominate yourself. So when you influence yourself, when you develop self-influential skills, it is easy for you to portray these influencing skills to the group that is surrounding you. And if you portray them, they will be impressed to follow you. And when they follow you, it means you'll be leading people. And these people, they also have their relationships. They will go and portray the same characteristics you were portraying to them, and these characteristics will influence many people than you thought, and in a short period you have a group of followers. Rely on a storytelling. This part is the part where I'm interested the most. When they say rely on a storytelling, most of us, we fail to be influencers, because when we are telling our stories, there is some parts of our story that we want to cover, or we want to defend them. So the defending your story, or defending where you went wrong in your story, it is going to force you to force these people you are telling your story to believe otherwise. You are trying to control how they understand your story. You are trying to convince them that it was not your fault to get hurt during your journey or during your story. But this is not what we want in a storytelling. What we want in your storytelling, we want you to be as honest as possible. We want you to tell your story to us the way it is. Where there was pain, tell us the pain. Where there was happy, tell us about happiness. Well, you got lessons, or you got rejected, or you got accepted, or you got down, or you got up. Tell us exactly how your story is. Because this is where you're going to get many points of becoming influencer. And don't try to direct me into picking lessons into your story. Just tell it the way it is. And me as an adult, I will choose which part do I think to play more into providing lessons into my life. But the more you are trying to control yourself, the more you are trying to defend your mistakes, or the way you are trying to cover up your failures during the journey, it is where you're going to lose the followers, because it will feel like this driver is forcing to drive us to the certain destination. But even if it seems like this destination is not the destination we want to go, the driver is still forcing us to stay still in this car and fasten our seat belt, not to tell the driver that this is the wrong address, because this driver have the authority to drive us. This is how it feels when you're trying to cover up your mistake, or you're trying to defend your mistake, or you are trying to defend the failures. Everybody fails somehow in their life. Everybody get hurt somehow in their life. Life story is not smooth to each and everybody. Nobody has made their life in a smooth way. So just be comfortable. As long as you decided that you want to be an influencer, be comfortable to tell your story regardless how painful it is. Regardless how many failures, how many points you have failed, and you see the way that you could have used to avoid the failure, Don't try to teach people to avoid the failure that you have failed. Just tell them your story, and they'll pick lesson from your failures, because everybody is in the journey, and maybe you are telling me to avoid the failure that I've already failed. So it won't work good to me, because you are teaching me the stage that I have already passed. It is not easy to know each and every of your followers which stage of journey they are in. So if you tell your story as it is, everybody will pick lesson according to the stage they are in their journey. It is like we are going through the bumpy road, or you can say, for example, a short story. Life journey is a bumpy road. And during this bumpy road, mine was really, really bumpy, to the point that I hurt my butt. Do you know how I hurt my butt? It is funny, because we were supposed to stand up and hold on something, but for me, I did sit and relaxed. That's why I end up bouncing, and then I hurt my butt. Tell it in the way that you are not controlling them. You are not trying to prove that you must get hurt. This journey, the purpose of this bumpy road is to get you hurt. No. Tell them that there is a bumpy road. You have to get ready to go through this bumpy road. So it is up to you. Are you going to sit and relax so you can bump like me and get hurt? Or are you going to be able to hold on something in order for you not to bump and get hurt? Or there is other method that you think you can use this method to overcome this bumpy road. Don't try to portray. You cannot provide a solution for every challenge in everyone's life. Just tell your story. Let them decide. From this story, of course, I'm influenced by this person. I like the way she carries her life. She's succeeding now, though her way was dark and she had a lot of challenges. But now I can see she is in the right. There is something she did that maybe if I learn from it, I will get positive result in my own life. But this person is trying to tell me the good parts only. And it is boring, because nobody can go smoothly and succeed. Tell me the bad parts. Tell me the painful stories. Tell me where you failed, where you cried, where you laughed, and I will decide which one is impressing me, which one is going to be useful to the stage I am in my life now. And if you be as honest as you can, it is easy for people to trust you. Because if you are being honest in your deepest wound, you are not hiding any of your deepest wound. It means you won't be able to hide your deepest weapon of success. So it will influence me, and it will create the thirst of me keeping listening to your story, because it have honesty inside. It means if I implement these ways, it will help me to. And we say the last thing, embrace the resistance. We know what creates emotion is resistance. Everything that don't have resistance, it doesn't move. Because resistance helps the movement. So by the moment you face resistance, you as an influencer or a new influencer, or you're trying to be a leader and you're starting in the first step, which is influencing, the moment you face resistance, you have to embrace the resistance, because this is what is going to get to move you from one step to another step. If you are leading, or you are talking to people, or you are influencing people who you are telling, okay, now let's do this, and they say, okay, now let's go there, okay, now let's bend, okay, now let's run, okay, without challenging you, it means something is wrong. It means they all are depending on your brain, and you will get lost, because somehow we need to lead each other. Somehow everybody needs somebody who can remind them that, oh, this is not the right road. We are supposed to go left now. But if you have people who are following you, the Google map is telling you that you are supposed to go left, but because they trust you, so they are going to go right with you, that means you are not going to move. But resistance is the reminder that something is not okay here. I have to go back and reflect in myself. How am I reacting? How was I reacting recently that made this resistance come? Where did I go wrong to cause this resistance to come? Oh, what can I learn from this resistance? And it will push you. That's why when you hear many of the successful people stories, you see there was kind of resistance that made them influenced to work hard. For example, you see some maybe tell you like, I was raised by the abusive parents and they were trying to talk failure into my life. So do you know how I made it here? I made it because I was trying to prove them wrong. I was trying to show them that I am not like them. So resistance pushes you because it is like a fuel. It is like a fuel which is adding energy in whatever you're doing. So if you are about to sleep and your group doesn't bring resistance, it means you fall asleep. But if you were about to sleep and then resistance comes, you will wake up, and after wake up you try to see, why is this resistance here? And how am I supposed to react? So learn to turn resistance into influence. During self-influencing, use resistance also as a fuel to increase self-influence, because if you aim self-influence, you are going to aim influence to others, and we all know that influence is the first step of leadership. At the end of the day, you get whatever you want to have.